This week, critical code execution flaws in the LIVE555 streaming library that affects VLC and other streaming media players. WordPress is working on wiping out older versions of its software from existence. Multiple serious flaws in Drupal, TCP IP flaws even, leave IoT gear open to mass hijacking. jQuery plugin being actively exploited for at least 3 years. A flaw in LibSSH is floating around, and 8 adult websites expose a bunch of intimate user details. Leonard Simon from Springboard joins us for expert commentary on how to break into the field of information security. All that and more on this episode of Hack Naked News. This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show that brings you the security news each week. And despite popular belief, we do wear pants. It's Hack Naked News. Do you have a website, an external presence, employees, an office? Any of these things can be compromised and attacked. How are you defending your assets? Have you penetration tested your public assets? Start 2018 by taking a proactive approach to securing your vulnerable areas. Black Hills Information Security has been helping companies find their weaknesses since 2008. Email consulting at blackhillsinfosec.com and see how they can help you sleep better at night. Welcome, everyone, to Hack Naked News, episode 194 for October 23rd, 2018. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. Quick announcement, if you're interested in quality over quantity and having meaningful conversations, instead of just a badge scan, join us on April 1st through the 3rd at Disney's Contemporary Resort for InfoSec World 2019. You can connect and network with like-minded individuals in search of actionable information. Use the registration code OS19-SECWEEK for 15% off the main conference or a world pass. And now, the security news. A critical code execution flaw is found in the LIVE555 streaming library. This vulnerability has been identified in this library, which is used for RTSP services used by VLC and other media players. Lilith Wyatt, an IT security researcher from the Cisco Talos Intelligence Group, discovered the vulnerability, which exists in the HTTP packet parsing function of the LIVE555 RTSP server library, through which an attacker can send a crafted malicious packet to trigger the vulnerability, causing a stack-based buffer overflow, resulting in code execution. They are working on patches for this library, which could be included in more than just mPlayer and VLC, so be on the lookout for updates for those software packages. The WordPress team is working on wiping out older versions of its platform from the internet. This was based on a presentation at the recent DerbyCon conference. The article points out what I thought were two interesting points. In one quote, they say, instead, they're working on figuring out ways to roll those versions forward automatically without breaking sites for people, and essentially working to try to wipe out those versions from existence on the internet and bring people forward. Rather than making the older versions just not work and not support them anymore, their strategy is to get those people moving forward on more recent versions that include the automatic update feature that was introduced in WordPress 3. something, I believe. The other point that I thought was interesting, they said it's not an easy problem to solve, but they're working on it. That was to the first point, which means it's not easy to get all those people updated on the latest versions. But it is something that they are evangelizing, hence their presentation at DerbyCon. They've been collaborating. The other point is they've been collaborating with the authors of the most popular plugins in the plugin repository to increase the security of those plugins. It's been helping those plugins follow best coding practices, which has yielded great results, as similar plugins have now started to follow or steal the coding techniques which are used by the larger projects and indirectly have raised the security of their own plugins. As I said, they presented at DerbyCon, so make sure you check out the video, which all of the videos are posted to irongeek.com. You should patch now if you're running Drupal, as multiple serious flaws have come to light. There are two critical flaws that both allow for remote code execution as well as some moderate level vulnerabilities. The first of which is a PHP default mail system function affecting the backend Drupal core version 7.x and 8.x. The advisory for that is SA core-2018-006. Describes this as relating to email variables not being sanitized for shell arguments, leading to possible remote code execution. If there's another critical flaw as well as other moderate level vulnerabilities. If you do run a CMS really of any type, Drupal, WordPress, Joomla, or many of the other options out there, or you think you have them in your environment, they're managed by other people, you really need a solid plan to constantly update these systems and add some extra protection, maybe in the form of third-party security plugins or third-party services that can help protect your site. Patch me if you can. A grave TCP/IP flaw found in FreeRTOS leaves a bunch of IoT gear open to mass hijacking. Orly Carliner at Zeperium analyzed the operating system and found that all of its varieties are vulnerable to 4 remote code execution bugs, 1 denial of service, and 7 information leaks, and another undisclosed type of security problem. Be on the lookout for that one. The versions affected are FreeRTOS up to version 10.0.1 with FreeRTOS plus TCP, AWS FreeRTOS up to version 1.3.1, and Open and Safe RTOS with WHIS Connect middleware TCP/IP components. Amazon's one of the maintainers of these projects, and Amazon has been notified of the situation, and the company responded by releasing patches to mitigate the problem. That came from bleepingcomputer.com. So if you're running FreeRTOS or any of its variants, you want to be on the lookout for an update. A hack on 8 adult websites has exposed oodles of intimate user data. A recent hack of 8 poorly secured adult websites has exposed megabytes, that's right, megabytes, of personal data that could be damaging to people who shared pictures and other highly intimate information on online messaging boards. Included in the leaked files are your IP address that connected, user passwords protected by a 4-decade-old cryptographic scheme. I believe they're referring to MD5, although you have to read the article to be 100% certain. Number 3, the names and 1.2 million unique addresses, although it's not clear how many of the addresses legitimately belong to actual users. The owner of one of the sites, Robert Angelini, who owns wifelovers.com, in case you were curious, and 7 of the other breach sites told Ars Technica, who reported on the story on Saturday morning, that in the 21 years they operated, fewer than 107,000 people posted to those sites. And you can go read the article for a full list of other affected websites, really just for entertainment purposes. A 0-day in the popular jQuery plugin is being actively exploited and has been for the past 3 years. The vulnerability impacts jQuery file upload plugin authored by a German developer named Sebastian, most commonly known as Blue Imp is the name of that plugin. The worst case scenario is exactly what happened. Earlier this year, Larry Kastjaller, a security researcher at Akamai's Security Intelligence Response Team, discovered a vulnerability in the plugin source code that handles uploads to the PHP servers. Evidence of this on YouTube shows some tutorials that date back to 2015 showing you how to exploit this vulnerability. So if you think you're running jQuery in any capacity, as it's typically bundled with other CMSs, as we mentioned earlier, you're going to want to go check into that. Now, it wasn't actually the jQuery library itself, which some speculated would have been much, much worse, but it was a popular plugin for jQuery. A security flaw in LibSSH leaves thousands of servers at risk of hijacking. The vulnerability allows an attacker to bypass authentication procedures and gain access to an SSH connection enabled without having the password. An attacker can do this by sending the SSH server the SSH message user auth success message instead of the SSH message user auth request. And yes, if you're thinking about this and you're like, hold on, wait, does that mean that basically I can tell the server, hey, I'm authenticated, and the server will go, yeah, that's cool. That's exactly how you should be thinking of it. Poor coding practices led to that, and LibSSH is bundled in several different projects. This only affects the server side of the house, although you'll see LibSSH as a requirement often when compiling security tools, as I find it's a little more portable and flexible library for implementing SSH. And with that, we're going to take a short break and come back with expert commentary on how to break into the field from Leonard Simon, so stay tuned. Today's determined attackers easily bypass even the most advanced network defenses. Trying to ramp up staff to detect their backdoors can cost thousands of dollars and take months, even years. With Active Countermeasures AI Hunter, we enable junior analysts to detect even the most advanced backdoors in a matter of hours. Sign up for a demo and purchase our product today by visiting activecountermeasures.com/HNN. Active Countermeasures. Make every analyst a hunter. Welcome back, everyone, to Hack Naked News. Is there an announcement? Yes. Join us for our outstanding webcast with Signal Sciences, where myself, Larry Pesce, and Zane Lackey will be talking about how to shift your testing in the SDLC. That's November 8th, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. SecurityWeekly.com/Signal Sciences. With that, we'd like to welcome Leonard Simon. He's a senior security engineer by day, a consultant and cybersecurity mentor at Springboard, in addition to teaching other courses at a university, I believe, as well. So he's got a lot of time spent with students and helping them guide them into their illustrious careers in information security. Lenny, welcome to the program.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes, nice to have you, Lenny. So we were going to have a quick chat, and it's awesome to have someone with your background that is currently mentoring several different students in different capacity and getting them to enter the field of information security. So Lenny, if you want to start off and just, what some of the common questions are from your various students about, getting into the field of information security.
Yeah, that's a great kind of first question to kick off. Usually students ask, what's the best path to go down in cybersecurity or security? Also, what certifications or the best certifications that they should focus on? Those are usually pretty much the more popular questions. And, some are more specific. Do I need a degree, like a bachelor's degree or a master's degree? But normally they hang around those types of questions. And my answer really to them is, just to make sure kind of where they're at right now as far as experience. How much do they have? Do they have any? Do they have any certifications, to begin with? Because that'll kind of help me gauge where I can help them kind of start or guide them in the right direction.
Lenny, do you have a favorite certification or set of certifications that you recommend to students for cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned before, I teach. I'm a mentor at Springboard, where I mentor, folks trying to get into the field. I also teach at several universities, different cybersecurity courses. And if someone's coming to me and they don't really have IT experience or very little, or maybe don't have any certifications, there's usually my favorite three that I start off with. A+, is a big one, obviously, more about software and hardware. And then there's Network Plus, which is more about networking. And then from there, Security Plus. And the reason why I mentioned those in that order is, A+ and Net Plus is going to give you a great foundation on that type of topic, software, hardware, networking. And then once you hit the Security Plus kind of certification or, coursework, you'll have a pretty good foundational knowledge of the hardware, software, networking piece of it to make it a little easier. Now, you could probably get away with starting off in Security Plus if you don't have that much experience, but it may be more difficult for you. But the advice that I usually give students is kind of start off in that track. And then from there, students ask, okay, what do I do from there? Let's say I got all three, I passed all three of them.
Oh, also, Lenny, in that realm, I want to mention a lot of schools offer Cisco certifications,
yes.
And even at the high school level, which, I mean, even if you're not going to be a Cisco, network engineer, I think it accomplishes the goal of, some of the A plus and Network plus, right? It gives you some of those software, hardware, and network fundamentals, even if, that might not be your path. I think that's great for learning. You got to understand the fundamentals of networking and hardware and software, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've taken this CCNA myself, and it was undoubtedly one of the best decisions I've made, even being in the field for 10 years already. I mean, there's stuff that, of course, that I knew, but there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, which made me a better professional in front of, executives and stuff like that. So to your point, for sure, I mean, start off maybe with the first three, A plus, Net plus, Security plus, and then kind of reevaluate yourself. Do I find networking more interesting, or infrastructure more interesting, or penetration testing more interesting? Find that area that interests you the most, and then there's a more likely a security path or certification path for that as well. But starting off with CCNA, for example, with no experience, may be a little difficult because it is a bit of a difficult test for some. Doesn't mean you can't pass it and be successful at it, but I usually like to tell students that you kind of want to start off, and be true to yourself and learn the basics first, kind of be more comfortable with something more advanced like the CCNA, at least in my opinion.
And you've got some great resources for certification guides and courses. You want to take us through some of kind of your top picks for that? I mean, Springboard, obviously being one, as you're a mentor there. And if you want to check out Springboard, you can go to springboard.com. Tell them you heard about it on Security Weekly, and they've got some fantastic programs over there.
Yeah. This is our office, Springboard. Springboard has a number of different courses for students to sign up for, data science courses and other courses. But they've just started off with the cybersecurity courses. One's more of an intro to cybersecurity, which preps you for Security Plus exam, and the other one is a cybersecurity career track course, which materials mainly for application security analysts or people that want to become more involved in application security. And there's some bonus material for the CEH, which is Certified Ethical Hacker, and also the CISSP. So that's a great option for those as well. Some other quick sites and resources I can recommend. If you're thinking about taking an exam or certification, if you go to techexams.net, it's just a big discussion board where everyone kind of shares their experiences before and after taking a certification. Of course, there's no answers or questions to the certifications there or the test, but it's more of what did this person study, or what resources did they use, what books did they use and videos and such. So it's a great place to kind of see, okay, I already have these 5 resources I'm going to use to study for the Security Plus, for example, and I need to look in practice tests, more books, stuff like that. Another great resource for those looking into maybe getting into the CISSP, which is a little more advanced certification, is cccure.education. It's a great place. It provides a lot of practice exams and resources as well. Cybrary IT or cybrary.it is a great, a place to look for videos and stuff like that on cybersecurity. So the best kind of advice I can give students is or if someone is looking to get certified, is maybe start off with tech exams and see what others are using. That doesn't mean that that's what you should be using. It just gives you more of a reference and a guide. And when it comes to just getting certified and learning, I always tell my students just to keep yourself marketable, keep moving forward. Try to learn as much as you can, network with as many people as you possibly can, get a LinkedIn account if you don't have one, it's free. Start building your professional network, and that'll just kind of start developing more relationships to help you in your career.
Awesome. And so as terms of your book recommendation, you had one book recommendation that was centered around the Security Plus.
Right. Yeah. I've used this book from a previous version of the test. So it's a book by Daryl Gibson. If you just go to Amazon and type in Security Plus, he's like the 3rd or 4th from the top. It has amazing reviews. Right now we're on the, I think, version 501 of Security Plus. I took it back on, I think, 301 or 401, but he had a book as well for that version, and it was great. He articulates things very well for those needing to take the exam. There also is some bonus material within the book. For example, you can pay a little bit extra for like practice tests and audio files and flashcards and things like that. So I highly recommend this book, mainly because I've used it, and I recommend this to other students. And I've actually recommended this as a textbook, a required textbook, for one of my courses at a university, and they approved it. So
Nice.
super happy about that. So it's a great book overall to learn.
And then I was glad you had some job boards and resume builders out there, as I'm not too familiar with those sites today, but you've got a couple job boards and a resume builder, which is obviously important things for those getting into the field.
Yeah, the job boards, one of them is Indeed.com, Indeed.com. You may have heard of it. There's actually some commercials coming out for it now. But it's free. It has a great kind of filter capability. A lot of job posts are posted as far as looking for a job. You can set up alerts, so any new job posts come out, you can get an email automatically. So keep looking every day or every week. I've gotten calls back and emails back from different employers as I have applied for different jobs from there. It's becoming more popular. I've used it for over 5 years now and stuff like that. And it's been a great resource for me. The other place is flexjobs.com. You do have to pay for it, but it's, a yearly thing. It doesn't have I don't know the cost, but it's definitely competitive and appropriate as far as the cost goes. But the job positions I think are filtered better at flexjobs.com, meaning better quality jobs, more responses from the employers. So when you do actually apply for a job, you'll be able to get a response. I've actually heard back and gotten several jobs from this site personally, and it's just a great. It's worth the money, I think. So, and there's others out there like Monster.com and I think HigherEducation.com. There's all these other places out there, but these have been my top two. One free, one paid, to kind of play around with them and see. And you won't see positions in Flex Jobs that you would see in Indeed, and maybe vice versa. So kind of has a good coverage there too. The other thing I can add as well are like hiring companies, like headhunters, like Robert Half and Tech Partners and all those other places. People are kind of on the fence about them because they are, there's other people kind of looking for a job for you, but at the end of the day, you're the one that needs a job, and there's people there that'll help you get it. And they actually have visibility to jobs that aren't on any of these boards publicly. So they have a relationship, an agreement with those companies to work with them, and they're the ones going out looking for the talent, and you may be that person. So definitely consider those as well.
And then the resume builder, is this a free service?
Back when I started using it, they may have maybe a small fee right now. I just put that up there because I've used it before, and it's kind of hip and modern, and it's pretty cool. You can kind of create a one-page resume if you can fit most of your experience and education and certifications in there. You can make it fit. We can have a little picture at the top. It just looks like professional and more modern. Now, I've gotten feedback from other people about this, saying, some jobs don't want your picture on your resume, some don't care, some do. It just depends. And maybe if you're applying to like a marketing position at like Silicon Valley or something, cool like that, maybe it'd be nice to have your picture there. But if you're applying to more of a conservative company that does whatever, they may not care for it, or they may, so it just depends on the company you're applying for. But I found it overall a very easy resume builder to use. It produces a great resume and a page, and be happy to share it with everyone.
Awesome. Lenny, thank you so much for your commentary today. If you want to gain access to the resources that we discussed, you can go to wiki.securityweekly.com. This is episode 194 of Hack Naked News. You can find links to all of the resources that we referenced. And again, make sure you visit springboard.com. They've got a really cool site, and tell them you heard about it on Security Weekly. Lenny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. That concludes this episode. We'll see you next time.